All right, everybody, so this is quite an interesting video. So the quick story about this is I've been asked numerous times to do something along the lines of this video. So then I upscaled it. We did a specific mailing list for it. We uploaded it into the private community group of YumCars community. And basically the kind of pretext of this video is interesting facts that you potentially don't know about me, and obviously some people ask not just the facts about us. It was more kind of like business advice or theoretical kind of questions. So I thought, you know what, let's film it. A lot of people have been asking a lot of questions. Now there is no such thing as a silly question, so I thought, well, come on, let's entertain this idea. And again, as always, I'm quite surprised by the outcome of people, you know, firing kind of questions, whether it be entrepreneurship, business, personal, a little bit of the three, you know, and kind of some other questions. So I've got my phone here. I'm going to be bouncing about between, so I've took some screenshots from emails. I've took some screenshots of the community group. So I'm going to try and go through some of the questions. If I haven't answered your question, then again, some questions have been duplicated. Some are super simple, which have been kind of covered already within all our kind of video content. So I'll try and get through some of the really interesting questions, or the questions I've never been asked before. All right, so first of all, I am on the community, and where shall we start? So Chris, what got you interested in cars, and furthermore, what started you on the journey of car detailing perfection? Thanks, Chris. It's Chris North, by the way, so I hope you're well. Right, so that's, again, some of the questions are fully loaded questions. So without doing a dedicated video for each, and without it being a 9-hour video, I'm going to try and do it as quickly but as concisely as possible. So what got you interested in cars? Right, again, I've covered this on the This Is Me series, but again, cars for me have been a thing that I could never afford, but I've always looked at certain brands of cars and I thought, that's nice, I respect that, or you know, one day I will own X car or Y car. So that's been there since I was a child. I kind of knew certain brands were kind of more prestigious than the other brands. And I've always said one day I'll find something to do in my life where I could maybe, just maybe, afford some of those cars. And furthermore, what started you on the journey for car detailing perfection, that was a specific car. That was the black Audi S5. That was my first ever kind of super expensive purchase, let's say, at my kind of earning level. So that was the most expensive car at the time for me. And then I, again, naturally, because I'm a discerning individual, I thought, let's do a little bit of research of how to look after, at the time, which was my number one investment. I didn't have a house or anything, so to me, that was my house. I started the research. The Pandora's box, let's say, kind of opened up, and the rest is history, as they say. So yeah, that's fairly an easy one. The best paying job by a car company / supplier based on ease of working with as a detailer, and then separately for looks. Ooh, again, loaded. So basically, usually, if you were just to sit, and if you ask anybody who knows anything about paint, they will go into kind of a mode of stereotyping, but they should also tell you that even though a stereotype exists about a specific manufacturer's paint, there will always be a kind of a curveball or caveat to that paint job. So for example, German car paint, specifically Mercedes, Audi, which is the VAG group anyway, and BMW have all notoriously been hard. And then you've got the Japanese paint, so Nissan, Hyundai, all these type of cars have, again, all been notoriously super soft, right? So again, hard, soft, somewhere in the middle. Now, I know people, myself included, we've had some Audi paint jobs, for example, that have been medium. Some have been a little bit on the softer side. Some have been like polishing granite. There's some Mercedes that we've had that have had, in fact, ceramic clear coats were a thing, where they were kind of infusing almost like a resin within their clear, which was just almost impossible to cut. You could throw a brick at it and the brick would break in half, type of thing. And then again, the super soft stuff, you look at it, it swirls. Now, hopefully I've answered that one. The best paying job by a car company, ease of working with as a detailer. So we'll talk about that one first. So again, the easiness, hard, soft, medium. Personally for me, I like it where it's a little bit in the middle, because the super soft stuff, you could polish it right out. You try and wipe it away with certain towels and you just mar in the paintwork. Again, if that doesn't happen and the paint kind of plays nice with you, when you're washing that car, you've got to be ridiculously soft. So a friend of mine owns a flat black S2000, so Honda S2000, and I've seen the way he washes that car. It's horrific. It looks like a surgical operation every time. Now, it should be a surgical operation, of course, regardless of paint hardness or clear coat hardness. But you want to give yourself a little bit of a buffer in both areas, both the correction and the maintenance side. Now the middle stuff, it cuts out really nice, it maintains really nice, it gives you a little bit of a buffer. So I like the medium stuff. And for looks, now that's a hard one. So again, you've seen my Viola, it's not here right now, but the Viola Metallic purple 911, that's a beautiful color, especially in the sun. When it's in overcast condition, the color's a flip color, so it goes into almost like a flat burgundy purple color. In the sun is where the money's at. But still to this day, I think my Audi RS3 in Panther Black, so it had no PPF. Only towards the end it was coated, so as I owned it, it was, pure wax and everything like that. Now that color in the sun, again, in the shade, it's just black. It looks black. If you look close enough, you'll see a little bit of, kind of fleck, but in the sun it was green, a little bit of blue. So that's my opinion. Again, curious. This is, as I said, this is a loaded question. So if you're watching this, what's your favorite car color type of thing? I'd be interested to hear. Your full car history, I'll get to that one. Your top 10 favorite cars from the 90s and 2000s. James, come on. I know you're into that era car. Now for me, I would say I'm more in the modern-ish kind of spectrum. But if you were to do it, your top 10 favorite, I probably wouldn't say a top 10 favorite, but E92 M3 is nice. The first generation Honda Civics, they're nice. The reason I say the Honda Civic is actually quite interesting because when I was, in my early teens, the Fast Car magazine, if you remember, the Modify magazines, I was reading them, every time I was being driven to school. Now, I've always said I wanted, it could still happen now, but a coupe, two-door Civic, a Type R kind of variant. I'd love to do it, not because I'm into the Jap scene or I want to, have my hat on backwards with a vape in my mouth, but it's the car, or it's the era that I first got into kind of cars where I said I'm going to modify that car. But of course, to modify something is, it's quite expensive. So at the time, obviously, I had no money, and I would like to do it one day, buy a really clean example, rip it to bits, put it back together. I'm going to do something similar with that shortly. But yeah, so E92 M3, I like that. Honda Civic, you've got the RX-7, you've got the first generation S2000. Now, the good examples are obviously flying up in price. A lot of people say the Supra, that's a terrible car. I don't know where it's got kind of its popularity from. Yeah, you can modify it, yeah, it can look cool. The reason they're really popular is because you've got them running at, 900 horsepower with anti-lag, everywhere. So, but that's not really my scene. As you could probably tell, with the Japanese market, I'm very naive in. So maybe I get into it one day, maybe not. But I can't probably give you a top 10. James, in fact, you watch this, you give me your top 10 because you probably own the top 10 from the 90s and the 2000s. Has your business journey so far been harder than you imagined when you started out? Great question. I was under no illusion that the real business journey, and I'm going to explain to you what the real business journey versus the perceived business journey is. But because I'm quite intelligent, I looked at it in all the spectrums, and eventually when I said, or when you know that, right, your business plan is you want to take over the world, let's say, in a certain industry, you know that you're going to come up against some heat, against some friction, against some hate. I mean, if I could, I'd actually have the opportunity to buy the haters, because this is what they don't understand, is when people go out of their way and watch every video that you do, comment, they actually want driving up all the engagement, they're actually talking about you for free. I wish, you know, the marketing agencies could have some sort of option where you buy 100 haters for 100 quid, I'd be their best customer. But you have all these roadblocks ahead of you. Once you get to a certain level, like I'm currently finding out, is you actually have other people, other companies who you think, you know, shouldn't even know that you exist technically, but you know, some bigger companies actually start to butt heads with you when it shouldn't ever kind of happen, you know. So in all of that, yes, it's been a lot harder. Not than I expected. I knew it was coming, but it's hard, you know. Now, when I say the real business journey versus the perceived business journey, people seem to think, again, that's such a loaded question, but they say, I'm going to be my own boss. I'm sure you've heard it. I'm going to be my own boss. I'm my own boss because I want to choose my own hours. Now, that is the perceived business journey, because if you are going to start a company or a business, you work quadruple the hours of a normal working 40-hour-a-week person. You don't get Christmas, you don't get your summer holidays, you don't get your Easter. You work 18 hours a day, you sometimes don't eat for 2 days. You definitely have no money, because the real business journey really requires heavy investments. Your personal relationships become under strain, especially if you work with the said woman, Kelly. But you know, this is where, you know, if you expect it, you actually work through it so easily. So, but the main one is I want to be my own boss. I want to choose my own hours. That's perceived. I have a very, very good phrase that I say to myself every day. I say I would rather work 120 hours a week than work 40 hours a week for somebody else. 100%, even for half the money. And wild horses, wild stallions will have to literally drag me by my heels, attached to a rope, like some sort of torture technique, to actually get to work anywhere else. Even if somebody said, I'm going to give you 300 grand a year right now, sell off your business, come work for me, I'd never do it, you know what I mean? So that is probably the cook question, you know. But yeah, the business journey, and it's only getting harder in a good way, let's say. I'm meeting new people. Business is, again, a real business should be a conglomerate of like-minded people, which I'm still on that path of learning, of who the right people are and who the ones aren't. And again, you build relationships in business with companies, with factories, with customers, that should last you a lifetime if you do it right. So I'm an infant in business. Not 1% of my journey has only started. It may look different through camera, but you know, we're still, every step we take in a new direction is a learning curve, and sometimes we lose money, sometimes we make a little bit of money, but whichever way that pendulum swings, we'll kind of always use it as it's an experience. As long as I'm still here, as long as the business is still here, we're healthy, you know, you haven't lost a limb, it's an experience, you shouldn't be mad about it. So that was quite a good question. Your vision, oh God, I'll leave that towards the end. How, your full car history, that's the one I was going to do. So my full car history, this should be super quick. So I passed my, my driving test at the age of 17 after 8 lessons, because I am clearly a driving superstar. my dad helped me. We had this thing back then. I don't know if it still exists, but he could put me on his car as a supplementary driver, and we could kind of drive around, but he had to be in the car type of thing. So I'm not sure if that still exists. So we were actually in like industrial estates doing 3-point turns, parallel park. So when I actually went to do my driving lessons, they were in blocks of 10. You had to buy them. And literally I said, look, I've saved money for this. I've got a little bit of money for the test. I need to pass this like sharpish. So we did it in 8. The first car was actually a hand-me-down, which was still owned by my mum and dad. It was a 1.6 Renault Megane. So to me, I mean, I thought I was flying, brother. You know, just to me, I thought that was a Ferrari at that point, because 1.6 engine, I learned in a 0.9 litre car. So again, almost double the capacity. So it felt quite quick for me. So I was kind of, you know, getting a little bit of experience then, as in when my dad wasn't using it, which basically was pretty much on weekends. And then my first car, which I got, I was proud of this one. This was a 1.2 litre Fiat Punto. That was, you know, I'm not yet sure if this was a mistake. There was 2 cars for the same money. There was a VW Polo. I remember it was like a midnight blue, so a little bit darker than usual. And it was, again, the 1.2 Lupo. Now, they were both at £4,000. Now, for some reason, I liked the shape of that stupid VW Lupo, Fiat Lupo. But knowing what I know now and going back in time, if I had the same money, same situation, I would have gone for the VW, not Lupo, Polo. It was a 2-door, I believe, if I remember correctly. It was just nice. I mean, a history, again, and going a little bit kind of in hindsight, my Lupo broke, everything was broken in it. My wiring looms had all gone. At one point, my alternator died when I was coming off a slip road of a dual carriageway. I don't know how that even happens, but it obviously can't regenerate power. So I was literally sat at whenever it was, midnight, with no alternator and no way to generate power, so I couldn't have any hazard lights on. So it was quite a dangerous situation. So I kept fixing things, and that car probably cost me triple to what I bought it for in terms of repair costs. Took it with me when I joined the military. And it was actually interesting. I was going to buy, there was a thing for military personnel, you get like your VAT off, so 20% savings. If you bought a car from a certain dealer, you would even get like 4 or 5 grand off. These were like new cars. And I was going to buy, thank God I didn't, a Vauxhall Corsa. This was right before my deployment. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't do that, because I wouldn't probably have been in this building right now. If I had done that silly little mistake, I probably wouldn't be where I am now. But instead, I saved all my money, came back. I had a flat black, brand new Audi S5, which I bought cash, which is still probably one of my greatest achievements. Walking into a dealer saying, I want this, thank you very much, boom, there's the cash. So Audi S5, I earned that. I kept that for quite, you know, a while, technically. I then had a Panther Black RS3, the one I just mentioned. My natural progression should have been an Audi, technically after the S5, should have been an RS5, because I like doing things in like a weird order, but a progressive way. So it should have been an RS5. It wasn't, it was an RS3. After the RS3, it should have been the RS5. Or the R8, which both didn't happen. I decided to take a complete blip into that weird car journey, and people are always so tribal about it. Oh, you're a German car guy, you're a whatever kind of guy. So I lost a lot of my people when I went to the Ford Mustang. Now the Ford Mustang, you know, I kept for quite a while. It was 3 years for me, which is probably the longest car I owned. And then after that, again, going back to it, I was considering the RS5, I was considering the R8. That didn't happen. I got the AMG, so the Mercedes AMG GTS, so the GT series of cars, beautiful. I think they're a timeless car. I got that. then like literally probably 3 months later, at the same time, I got the AMG GLC 63S Edition 1, mouthful. But that's where it basically came fully loaded, so matte paint, carbon ceramics, all the kind of snazz on the inside. We had the Brabus Smart Car, which was more of a gimmick than anything. We had the brand new custom painted Caravan, if you remember, if you're the old school guys from the beginning. In fact, my first 3 videos on the YouTube channel are from that purple Caravan. I seem to like purple stuff. Yeah, so all of that was there at the same time. Then what do we have? In fact, yeah, that's quite a small car history, really. So we sold the GLC 63. We sold, oh, by the way, the GLC 63, if you want to just go on YouTube, type in car wow. I'm sure you've heard of Matt Watson, Yanni, and all this. So go on YouTube, car wow, space, AMG GT360, GLC 63S. That is our car. You see our sticker on it and everything, and they were drag racing it against the comparable, you know, big monster SUV cars. And we were on winter tires for some odd reason in the summer, and we still beat everything. So if you want to see that one, it's quite cool. So we sold the GLC 63S, we sold the GTS, the Mercedes one, because the market was just right. It was perfect. It was at the highest point it's ever been in like 20 years. I thought, well, let's make a little bit of money for a change on cars. Sold that, and at the same time, before we sold it, we actually drove up. This was on my 30th birthday, well, the day before my 30th birthday. So I said to myself, I made a stupid thing in my head. I said, before I hit 30, I want to order a 911. And I ordered a 911 when I was 29 years old, basically, if you can call it that, because next day I was 30. So I ordered that, and when I just said to you about the market being just right for cars, height-wise, it was also just the market for all the crap to happen. So there was no supply of anything, no wiring looms, no materials for braking systems, and 100 other things. So I actually pretty much almost waited, minus some change, 2 years for my 911. We got this as a bit of a project, a bit of a test car, a bit of a rip out and do whatever with it. So it's kind of weird looking at 2 cars together, like 2 complete opposite sides of the spectrums. And right now, as we speak at the filming of this video, 2023, we've got potentially 2 different cars on order, 1 new, 1 not new, well, not on order in that case, but we're on the hunt for a super, super clean example. They're both very nice cars. Again, 2 opposite sides of the spectrum. One's German, one isn't. Let me just give you a hint. And then in terms of the car progression, you've got 2 cars that if you listen to the past 3 minutes, you would have heard me mentioning 2 cars over and over again. That should have been the progression. So those aren't the 2 cars that are on the hunt or on order as we speak. But the RS5 will eventually come to the channel, the Audi R8, probably the new generation, maybe the older generation V10, or if I just can't be bothered with the problems, get the brand new version V10. But I would love a V10 because that engine it's a dying breed engine. I've always said to myself since I was 19, 18, whatever, I said I would love to get an Audi R8, or whenever the first came out, I can't remember. And one day I will get one. So that's the current car progression, the current car stock that we have, always moving around, seeing what kind of happens. So yeah, how do we get to have development products used on our vehicles? Chris, you can't. As you know, we take product testing almost too seriously to a point where products actually don't come into fruition. So we can't release certain products for public testing once some of them, well, for one reason, some of them are super hazardous, and without giving away what the bloody product is, we can't give it to you because you don't know how to use it, type of thing, you know? Some products you can't test. You've got long-term coatings, you've got long-term spray sealant, stuff like that. You can't just put it on a car and say, oh, voila, here we go. But what we are looking at is once we actually conduct the testing and the non-long-term kind of products, which, as I said, you can't test. But if it's something like for example, a spray sealant that you can remove if you wish, if you do it the right way, or apply it if you do it the right way. So we are potentially thinking one day open up a program on the website, and the website's going to have a huge addition to it very soon, but which will require application forms. That's all I will say. And maybe we put another form on there, you know, final product opinion, something like that. I don't know. We'll choose random 20 people, 50 people, whatever it is, free of charge, send it out to you. We want honest feedback. Maybe that comes into kind of a future vision, let's say. PPF products and how to look after it would be good. Again, that is a dedicated video. It was a poll, yeah. That is a dedicated video that I will probably film on, but just so you get the basic answer. Bar polishing, pretty much. Maybe certain tar removers. It depends who was PPF'd, if it's been wrapped around the edge. But honestly, you can treat it the same as paint, pretty much. You can use the same pre-washing techniques. You can use the same washing techniques, pretty much the same sealing techniques. I wouldn't wax it because, again, PPF is a different substrate to kind of a clear coat, so kind of it doesn't cross-link the same way. But in terms of drying aids, you can do kind of foaming sealing products, spray sealing products, obviously coatings, all that type of stuff. So keep it the same, but again, that kind of dedicated side of it is coming specifically. Your vision or business plan for the future. Now, Richard Sutton, you always have the deep questions, don't you, my friend? I mean, that's quite a loaded question, which I will not bore anybody with kind of all the schematics, but all I will say is we're currently working on, as I said again, the time of this film and video, we are working on without giving any reason for people to rip off our ideas or not to ruin the surprise for the other real people. We are looking at a complete kind of segmented corporate structure that is being worked on as we speak. The broad plan, both distribution and other things, are being, as we speak, being worked on. Now, that specific plan, it could happen quicker or later, depending on a few kind of key points. If it happens quicker, we'll, you know, team up with a very, very amazing set of people. Or if that side doesn't happen because it's not the right time for us or them, then we will do it by ourselves, which will, again, take a little bit of, like I say, a longer time because of, again, hundreds of reasons in the world and all these type of things. But yeah, we are looking at, so basically everything that we have right now, we probably have the ability to basically do this with it like a pile of clothes, look inside, kind of rejig things and close it back together. That is currently what is happening with everything. So this is why probably people have seen that the podcasting is, again, on a pause. Certain other things are on a pause. Our release date, so we've been working on for pretty much, you know, on some products, the better part of this current year to release, you know, a group of products that are kind of your maintenance line of products, but we can't release them yet because our long-term project, which has taken us 5.5 years to develop, has to come first. So again, people, if you actually look at how we did things, are doing things, you'll see, oh, why are these guys not doing this at the minute? Or why have they started doing this? It's because we're currently just putting everything up, rejigging it, and put it straight back down. Again, there's additional business plans, which again, there's a reason why there's a certain car being ordered as we speak, because of a certain corporate structure change here as well. So everything in terms of the vision is being changed. I would highly suggest you want to keep an eye on this channel. So obviously the main front channel, the background 1% that everybody seems to want to know about is on the membership, as and when obviously that vision gets executed. So that's all I'll say, Richard. I'm not going to give any hints. I've learned my lesson with the past experiences. We are keeping everything on the hush-hush as much as we can, but we've got some fantastic opportunities going to open up. And I just say, look, the more people support us, this is our, obviously, the top line vision, the more somebody buys a bottle of shampoo, the more percentage of that shampoo we can cut right off the side, and we put it right back into this building. We put it right back into the other buildings. And again, as you all know, my ultimate goal was, I don't know what it is, 30, 40-year vision, is to have that, final destination, the final stop. That will eventually come, but that will come with a lot of money, a lot of support, a lot of grey hairs. But again, that everything else underneath it is leading up to that. So the next few set of questions are from a combination of mailing list, replies to our Instagram story, that question post that we did, or just private emails over the past, I would say, 6 weeks now. Again, here's another plug. If you haven't subscribed to the mailing list, go to the bottom of the website or the pop-up that you see, wherever, and basically just press subscribe. You actually get a little bit of a discount if you do it. And then you get to see stuff like this, so interesting kind of projects that we're working on, especially like the question-based stuff. So the first one is very easy. Where is it? Hey Nick, how did you meet Kelly? So it was a two-pronged attack that I planned. First, we almost got ran over on a military camp, turned around, spark was caused. And then I think it was either the same day or the same week, I can't remember, but we met basically at a barbecue, and the running joke is I offered her a sausage, but it was an actual genuine pork sausage. So yeah, I cooked her first meal. And that's how we met. We got talking, and as they say, the rest is history. That's an interesting one. If you could be remembered for one thing that you've done in your life, what would it be? Whew, Jesus Christ. You must have been drinking some good spirits to ask that question. If you could be remembered for one thing that you did, what would it be? Wow, interesting. So, I think my personal goal is, I've got many personal goals. That's the problem. When you want too many things at once, it's almost impossible to chase them all. But I think, when you have it on your gravestone, Nick Briton lies here. Eventually, I do want to give back. I think the giving part, whichever way that turns out, I've always wanted to help people. Now, to get to that level, I sometimes can't get my words out properly because it's such a deep kind of answer. But if you imagine, a staircase that's not supported by anything, like a floating staircase, and you're heading up towards the sky, I think when you get to that top level, again, there is your vision up there, but you have to go up the steps, and people don't understand that. If you want to help people, you need money. People always kind of say, I want to go and do this, and I want to save the polar bears, and I want to stop global warming and all this, but you can't do anything without any money. So the best people in history that have managed to help people have all been entrepreneurs. You have not seen, almost people with no influence or affluence or anything like that being able to help because you can't. So whether one day we set up a charity, whether one day we give things away, I don't know I haven't thought that out yet, but your legacy, that's the word, to be remembered for, is helping people. Now, this business to me is, this is my stepping stone, and this is the source of all of that. That one day we will, as I said on the previous question to Richard, I said, look, there's going to be right now we're doing a kind of a corporate structure plan. Part of that plan is this question. So actually, I read the two questions back to back, which actually tie together with each other. But whether it's helping international people, whether it's helping people in, Africa, building your own building to where you can house people, I don't know. With this business right now, I truly believe I'm helping people with, we get so many emails of saying, Nick, whoever, Kelly, team, really doesn't matter. They said, look, watching your content has helped me through a dark point in my life or a mental health problem or whatever it is. And I'm thinking, you know, you're overwhelmed with it, because in reality, I'm sat in front of two cars on a really, really nice chair talking about car care, or I'm washing a car, or I'm telling you how to wax a car, but there must clearly be something within my voice or the way I do it or how I do it that actually helps people and they want to kind of live through the screen with me. I don't know. So that's, I believe this business will be the stepping stone to the corporate restructure I have just mentioned, and that will again lead to another opening of the floodgates to something else as well. So hopefully my plan kind of pans out. What do people misunderstand most about you and how you do it? Yeah, wow, Jesus wept. My American friends, once again, hello. A lot of people, I don't know, I always say that I think I get misunderstood many, many times, whether it's, you know, like I'll sit in this place and people will instantly misconceive what I'm trying to do. And that example I've just given you is probably, I could do it fivefold in 5 different things, but they think that, you know, I come from a certain cut of cloth, or I have, you know, I've had certain help in the past, which is incorrect in both of the answers. You've seen where I'm from. You just Google, you know, the country that I was from. In fact, I think that was a question by somebody else. But yeah, you know, East Ukrainian, which, you know, it's a poorer part of Ukraine. You know, we didn't have anything. My parents have worked all their life. I've worked all my life on a normal salary. I've managed to save a little bit, and I've managed to, you know, multiply a little bit of it in other fields. But ultimately, the biggest misunderstanding is I'm not the best videographer. I have a sharp camera. That's all I have, and maybe a good microphone set. But look, I'm a point and shoot type of guy. I want to try and help you. I want to try and explore my passion and explode it through that lens. And so you can try and do it the right way, the proper way, rather than chasing all this cheap stuff. And it's, I think that's probably the biggest thing, you know, when I say the word cheap, or I say, you know, mediocre, and people say, well, you're blowing smoke up your own bum, haven't you? You know, and I'm like, look, you can spend money on 20 different, say, spray bottles, which I have multiple times, and I broke all 20 and I bought the 20 again. And I said, look, this is my opinion. Like, I want to sell this because this is the best. And people say, well, of course you're going to say that. Well, people, what a lot of people don't understand about our business model is, unless it's, if it's on the shelf, whether it be a physical shelf in a store or behind the camera or in the warehouse or on the website, trust me, we don't have to do it. A lot of people think that we do. No, we don't. Like, we don't have to sell a foam cannon. We don't have to sell a 135-pound gun. In fact, if anything, it creates more headaches, especially when you're talking assembly and importing from 17 different ports around the world. And we don't have to do this, people. But again, somebody will go on Facebook or a forum and they will start typing with their, you know, caveman hands, and they will, like, literally, like, you don't know the story, so do not type something that you do not understand. And that is the biggest misconception, because I will just be totally honest with you, and I'll sit here and say, look, this is good, this is okay, you know, workable but not, and this, don't buy it because it's bad. But the problem is, the bad thing that I've just mentioned, 97% of the industry sell. And I think it riles up a lot of the people thinking, who is this guy saying that it's bad? But what that said company isn't telling you is that bottle has got the biggest margin out of everything, and it does them well by selling it. Nothing else. But if they went for this bottle, which has got a 20% margin, not a lot, you know, you're not making any money out of it, but the customer will be happy and you'll get a return customer for life, etc., etc., etc. They won't do that. They'll buy something for 50 pence, sell it for £10, and they'll be super happy with it. And I think, again, you know, exposing some of those kind of truths, I don't mean to expose it, I just, you know, give you my opinion, but normally my opinion is fairly, you know, down the moral compass route. And I think that's probably the biggest misconception about me, that they think I've come from a certain walk of life, which I haven't. And yeah, I just want to help people. That's my life goal. Oh, this is a question. If you could go back in time and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be? Oh, cork of a question. Wow. So, well, it's hindsight, isn't it? Imagine if we all could go back with everything. I mean, not everyone, because some people are just career people. They're going to work until the day they retire and whatever. But you know, the business-minded people, if you could go back, like I've always said this to Kelly, I said, if I can go back right now with everything that I knew and started with £0, I would be, by the age of, what am I now, 32, I would be retired. So, it's not one piece of advice. It's probably one or two or maybe three, but I would say, first I would want to record everything. I would take this thing that's in my hand, I would either do it in vertical or landscape format and just record. I am still to this day sometimes gutted at the very, very early conception of the business. I didn't know what, you know, content creation can do to life and business. And some of the very early seedlings of what we did, I've never got it. I've got it here, but unfortunately I can't, you know, print it like that. So I would record everything and choose the right people. So if you are in that age bracket, choose the right people who you talk to, who you hang with. Yeah, that's probably a good one. And time. Take your time. I even get sucked into this now. You know, I'm still young. I'm a baby. I've got another 2 lifetimes at my current age, another 2, and I'll still be alive. So I can, well, literally, I'm taking my advice from when I was younger to now. I could do it once again and then once again. You know, so I'm a baby. But time, man, it's, a lot of people want to rush. They look, I mean, now it's worse for the 18-year-olds. Back when I was 18, there was no Instagram. Facebook was just early doors. You know, you had your, if you remember in the UK crowd, you've got MySpace, you had Bebo, all of these places are dead now. And, you know, now you've got people who are selling you this utter verbal garbage of, spend $59.99 with me and you can, you know, earn passive income, or you need to look a certain way, you need to have a certain car by 18, 25, 30. And there's all these influencers that don't know anything. It's laughable, you know. And I look at it now and I think, wow, you know. And I mean, sometimes maybe, I mean, even you look at, like, say, what we've done, because we do influence the crowd, let's be honest. And, you know, it's took us almost 6 years to get them to the point where we are, and then you've got to do another 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And sometimes when you start, imagine you're a young guy and you start now and you look at your idol, whoever your idol may be, really doesn't matter. But you look at him and go, oh, I want to have what he has or she has or whatever it is. And you've got to think sometimes that people have done it for 30 years, you know, or they've got 30 years of some experience and they've just multiplied it very quickly. But yeah, hang with the right people. Time, just use time to your advantage. Yes, time is limited, but also use time. Like, you can't rush sometimes perfection, and record everything. Just make memories. I sound like an old man here, but honestly, just take pictures, take videos, store it. You never know when you want to use it. That was a good question. What does your morning routine look like? Oh, okay. I should title it properly. The millionaire's morning routine. The billionaire's start to the morning. You know, that's what people do for the clickbait stuff. Oh God, Kelly's going to be laughing at this video. Jesus Christ. So I am not a morning person. My morning routine is, whew. She's actually said, Nick, I don't know how you were in the frontline infantry hardened regiment when we were up early in the morning, you know, exercise, Afghanistan sometimes, up early. I'm horrific. I'm the worst. So Kelly will be watching this crying with laughter right now. So I wake up, I need to have, I'm not even joking you, when I say I've got an addictive personality and I've got an extreme personality, this is no BS. She can attest to this. So I wake up and I have at least, I will go and sit on the sofa. I've got no phone with me at this point. So I don't do any distractions, I don't touch my phone. And I have like 3 or 4 cups of coffee. Like literally I will sit, coffee, poof, and just 4 times. It'll probably take me 30 minutes until I wake up. I then go and wash my face. I brush my teeth, you know, just the usual. And I've started getting into this recently, so I don't eat in the morning. I'm never hungry, so I need to do a tour of the building, but I've got a fully operational, amazing kitchen here, so we'll eat and work. So I'm starting just to get into this. I'll either look at my phone, but then the phone distracts me. Again, I've got a very distractive personality and a very short attention span, so I do get distracted very easily. So the reason why I say I leave my phone is I'm making a purpose now of putting the phone somewhere and I will not touch it, because this thing is my best and worst friend. I'm starting to read a lot of kind of books in the morning, so I've got 15 minutes. I'm just starting to wake up. I will read a chapter of a certain book, you know, with my 11th coffee. But honestly, 3 to 4 coffees is, if you think that's a lie, whatever, but that's legitimate. If it's a weekend and I'm not going into work, I'll have 10 coffees before I can move. I will go into work. This is just my morning routine. I'm not giving you my full daily routine because it changes hourly, but literally I'll go make another coffee or caffeinated drink, but mainly coffee, you know. But in work I drink a black, so nice high quality coffee, black, go upstairs. I will do all the emails where applicable. And then I will, the first part of my day is probably the most important, you know, where I feel the most motivated. So I will either go and film, edit, or plan content. Pretty much. That's my everyday morning routine. And then depending on what the weather's like in the UK, what the schedule is like, if there's like a gale force wind or I can't film or whatever it may be, then I will go into the production side of the business and we will then go and plan production. So whether we're filling, capping, whatever, labeling, toweling, whatever it is, and then I will try and help out where I can. So yeah, I would say it's my morning routine ish. But the coffee one is probably the most accurate. God help me if you ever see me in the morning. I'm bad. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? Oh, wow. There's another one here. If you could have coffee with any historical figure, who would you choose and why? I'm not going to answer that question. Only because I have a very raw view on that. So it probably on another video, on a live podcast maybe. But if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? This is part of the great vision. I'm going to do one more question after this and that's it. But this is, like I said to you about the whole restructuring part, I won't give you the true answer now because it may not happen for the next 5 to 10 years. It may not happen ever. Or I don't want to spoil the surprise or people kind of throw spanners with their negative energy and stuff like that. But basically, if you look at the equator line, there is, I'm not going to say if it's down or up or down, who cares, you know, but within that line, there is a country that has a favorable climate that we think one day we may open a base up in. So that is, and that could be Europe, it could be Far East, it could be on the West. I mean, who knows? I won't give you that answer. But hopefully, if my first version of the plan works out, maybe it's quicker rather than later, because I think our kind of enthusiasm and the passion needs to be done in that location as well, because I think it's just a no-brainer. And if that does happen, of course, there's going to be a huge video series behind it. One final question, and it's going to have to be a good one. I'm going to have to give more than one, maybe one or two, because there's some unbelievable ones. So, if you won the Euro Millions in the UK tomorrow, what would you spend it on? I mean, that's a cracking question. I can't answer that, because this would be like a 10-hour video. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? Very curious to see, because I'm not sure because of your video content, and it's quite hard to work you out. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? I'm an introvert. It seems like it, but I operate best when I'm on my own. Again, I'm extroverted in the right fields. I'm very animated, as you know. Like, you know, if you come to our event and there's 4,000 people, 10,000 people, it wouldn't faze me. You know, I'm just there and I'm like, boom, boom, boom. But I operate best when I'm on my own. Like, if everybody disappeared, or if I was locked in this dark room for 4 days and they gave me unlimited food, unlimited drink, and they said, just do what you want, wouldn't even faze me, you know. So I do like being on my own. I'm an alone kind of guy. So it's a very strange question. Very good one, but I would say mainly I'm introverted. It's weird. It's like weird. I can walk out there and there's 10,000 people. I'll do a live speech, no problem. But then I prefer being on my own. Strange. What is your biggest pet peeve? My biggest pet peeve is when I know the truth but people lie about it. That is literally, now, if you're my serious followers, you probably realize the situation that I'm talking about right now that is happening. Just let that sink in. When you know the truth, but the person or the group of people, whichever, you know that they're lying straight into your face or the camera or whatever. That is my biggest pet peeve. I hate liars. And my very last question, it's a lot of theoreticals here, so I'm going to have to do a part 2. Please let me know if you are enjoying this type of content. Very weird, but I thought, what about if you share the world and get inside the head of a person who sees more than most people? I thought that would be quite interesting. Hey team, what do you think your world will look like in the next 5 years? Right, that's the last question. Phone away. Next 5 years. Again, without repeating myself, because I hate repeating myself. Without going back into that whole thing, organization, but I think we will have another 5 years. It could be a 5 or a 10-year plan. That is dependent on probably factors outside of anybody's control, and that is what's happening in the world right now. And if certain routes get closed, certain routes get opened up, nobody knows. So, but if everything goes well, and again, life should be like this, right? There should be just a nice progression, no hiccups. But right now, it's obviously like this. So, the next 5 years, I think we will have an international base to where we will ship dedicated containers the size of this room. You know, you get the example. But yeah, if we can, so in the last 3 months, basically, we've got certain things in place where we have planned kind of trips abroad. They're called recce trips. It's a military term. We know when you do a recce, you start scouting. So in 2024, if we get the right staff in who can manage the flow here, and we can literally transport ourselves, so me and Kelly and stuff like that, the people who make the decisions, we start doing recce's out into the world. And they're already planned. There's 3 for next year planned. Again, they're loose, not booked. So if we get the right staff and team and everything's okay with this kind of life, we're going to go to those certain locations. And we want a base over there because it's the right thing to do. We have a lot of customers kind of over there, and and why not? But the two biggest problems are, again, the world situation and is it feasible kind of monetarily wise, and are we jumping too fast, too soon? That is probably the most important thing to us right now, because you don't want to overstretch yourself and kind of stretch the resources so thin that if a little pebble hits this side, this whole side crumbles. But then you don't want to move too slow to where you're like this and almost, let's say, the expression of all the eggs are in one basket, and if one goes down, they all go down. So it's again, it's just a happy medium of the both. You want to grow, but not too fast, but not too slow. So that is probably the 5-year plan, I think. I'm hoping, like, if we do the percentage jumps on growth that we have done from the start, again, eventually it has to start leveling off. You know, it's life. Nobody, like Apple, can never do 50-year jumps for the rest of their life, because they will be worth like 900 quadrillion, you know, but that figure will never exist because there's a finite amount of people per industry and stuff like that. So you will always grow, but eventually it will start going into, you know, single digits, you know, you grow 10% a year or 9% a year, whatever it is. But if we grow like we have now, I think it will be a right move. So that's a 5-year plan, I think. Now, I've probably answered about 25% of the questions over there. I was just trying to flick through the most interesting ones. I may be wrong again, but also to the questions that people maybe are more interested in, and not how do you recommend a professional cleans the glass. That will come in action videos, washing shots and stuff like that. But please, really important, I want to know your feedback on this video in the comments. Too long, too boring, great questions, not enough questions, can you read some more, can you read less? Please tell me, because I end up reading comments in community groups saying, well, Nick's video is too long, or he didn't answer my question. Why didn't you tell me? Why are you telling, say, John Smith in another group that, you know, you either liked or you didn't like something? Please let me know, because everything can be changed. If you like it, we can improve it. If you don't like it, we can improve it. So yeah, that's the first kind of video of this type of thing, you know, just to get inside the mind of this crazy person. Again, there could be a part 2, there could be a part 500. So let me know if you like it. I hope you enjoyed the answer to your questions. If I have answered your question, awesome. If not, I will hopefully save all the screenshots up until the next one. Hope you have an awesome day, guys, and I'll catch you all very soon.